Hello, everyone, and welcome. Good to see we got some familiar faces in the chat. Marcus Samoas is here, Darwin Dominguez, MPK, Artblade. Good to see you guys. Glad you could all make it. It's been a pretty productive week for me. I just cracked 50,000 words on the new novel, so that's always good. I was also on the Discord this morning, and I had a bit of a WTF moment. I saw one of the people on the, how you have the thing on the side that says, who's on there? It had a warning that they were an internet terrorist and that I should report any strange activity. So that was a first for me. I see Tanya Bell is here. Good to see you, Tanya. Oh, our Darwin and MPK want to know I'm doing good. Been a good week. Yesterday, it actually got up to 63 degrees here, which was a very nice change of pace. Back down in the 30s today, of course, but it was nice to open up the windows and air the house out, and I got out for a walk. It was all good. All good. So what about you guys? Anything exciting happening I should know about? I don't know if Gabriel Badwolf is here. I haven't seen her name pop up, but apparently she caught a mouse alive in a kill trap, and she's not sure what to do with it. So I'll be curious to see how that turns out. Tanya Bell says, "Wow, that's pretty hot. It's been windy and rainy here all week." Yeah, we did have some rain. The worst part of this time of year is when you get rain, it just sits on top of the grass and makes everything mucky. PK says, "I got accepted to my dream college program." Oh, that's awesome. What are you going to be studying? When I went to college, I studied business management and accounting as sort of a backup in case the whole writing thing didn't work out, but happily it did. So I actually hated advanced accounting. I'm not even sure what I was thinking. MPK says computer science. Oh, very good. There's always a demand for that, so hopefully it works out well for you. And Proelium. Hi, James. Good to see you again. Yep, good to see you. Glad you could make it. Any particular branch of computer science you're interested, or just checking it out and make up your mind after you've studied it a little bit? Fabian says the Black Bile and Overmage, is it inspired by one of the four humors? I'm asking because we just had it in school and I wondered. No. It's not really inspired by anything in particular. It's basically just liquid evil. Yeah, I thought it was kind of a cool idea to have for a power source. So, yeah, I didn't. I haven't really studied Shakespeare that much, so I didn't even know about the four humors. MPK says software engineering is the one I want to go when I get to university. Oh, very cool. Maybe you can make a video game someday. That would be kind of a neat thing. Although I think artificial intelligence might be the thing to focus on now. I don't know if that's anything you're interested in, but I've been looking at some of the AI programs for writing. MPK says I'm on the third book of the Soulbound saga, and I love the Easter eggs. Yeah, it's fun to put stuff from other series in. It's one of the fun things about having them all in the same universe. You can kind of tuck things like that in for people to spot. Sci-fi nerds here. Hi, James. Hi, sci-fi nerd. Glad you could make it. There's Gabriel Badwolf. Glad you could stop by. Snark and Sass is here. I think that's a new name. I don't think I've seen this pop up before. Good to see you. Marcus Samoa says, James, it's possible to be a half golem in your universe. Is that a half golem, you mean? Yeah, I mean, I think cyborgs would be possible, certainly. That's sort of the same thing. Some of the in Children of Junk in the sci-fi world are some of the people are made up of like, almost as much machine as flesh. So I'm not sure if that would count, but I'm not sure about so much in the fantasy part of my universe, but definitely in the sci-fi part. Of course, I would never say no. When magic is involved, you can pretty much do anything. Can I re-answer the black bile question? Is it based on the four humors from Shakespeare? No, it's not. Like I said, I hadn't even heard of the four humors before Fabian mentioned it. The black bile is just liquid evil, basically. It's a secret power running under the earth. But yeah, no, it wasn't based on that. It was just something I made up because I thought it'd be kind of a cool idea. I didn't even know how it was going to ultimately work out. It started out as I just needed a really cool, powerful poison, and it grew from that to something more. So, yep, that's the black bile thing. James Hill is here. Good to see you, James. Thanks for stopping by. I wanted to ask Gabriel if he decided what to do with the mouse he caught yet. I don't know if you guys follow the Discord, but he posted a picture of a mouse he caught live. So I was just curious what the mouse's fate was, if you don't mind sharing, or if you haven't decided yet. Let's see. Oh, yes, Friday. The second book of the Soulbound saga launched on all the wide stores, Amazon and Apple and all that, and it's doing reasonably well. So that was pretty cool. People seem to be liking the series, which is always a good feeling. Of course, all of you guys, I'm sure, have already listened to it on the channel. William Burroughs, in your book called Soulbound Saga, the lead character Joran talked about a cure-all, but then he told his bride that he was made sterile due to some experiment that was irreversible. Yeah, that was the experiment left him with more of a curse than like an injury that could be healed, so the cure-all wouldn't work on it. That's what he was explaining to her. Marcus Samoa says, big mouse or little mouse? I believe it was a little mouse that Gabriel caught. At least it looks small in the picture. Tanya Bell says, I put a bid into a different position at my job. Should know in a few weeks how that worked out. Oh, cool. I hope you get. I hope you get the position you want. Gabriel said, "I let him go. He was running around well, and his foot and tail were a better color. So Geralt made it through the final Witcher trial alive. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully, he doesn't run into any birds or cats. He was just a baby mouse. I named him after Geralt from The Witcher. That's very cool. I appreciate you sharing that kind of stuff and being active in the Discord. It makes it kind of fun to pop in and see all those neat posts. So, anybody reading any interesting books? I'm currently reading the 6th book in the My Quiet Blacksmith Life light novel series. It's about this guy who gets reincarnated in a fantasy world with super blacksmith abilities. He can make really powerful weapons and stuff. It's quite good. I've been trying to get caught up on some of my series that I started. I got a bunch of next books. My next book I was planning to read was the new Overlord book, but I see it's only part 1, and I hate waiting, so I'll wait until part 2 is out and then read them both at the same time. I see the final book in the. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, but I think it's Ari Ferreita or something like that. Light novel series. The last book in that just dropped last week, I think. So I'm looking forward to getting to that. But it'll be a little while, I think. Tanya Bell says, I'm reading The Iliad by Homer and Billy Summers by Stephen King. I'm not familiar with Billy Summers by Stephen King. William Burroughs says, since you asked, Resolute by Jack Campbell is good. I'm not familiar with his work. I'll check it out. James Hill says, I'm currently writing the first chapter of my own story. Oh, very cool. Fantasy story, science fiction, or something else? Writing your own story is always fun. I finished my day's words. I did 1,500 on the new novel. I finished them about 2:00, so always good to get your words in early, relatively early anyway. Gabriel says, I started the Witcher books that the game is based on after another playthrough. Let me know how you like them. I tried to get into them, but I found them a little bit hard to take. I managed. The first one wasn't bad, but I only made it, I think, like 2 stories into the second one, and I had to quit. I've still got it on my Kindle. I may get back to it one day, but I wasn't all that crazy about it. Let's see. Tanya Bell says it's about a double-crossed hitman. It's very cool. Oh, very good. I've got a lot of Stephen King books, but I haven't bought any new ones in a while, so maybe I'll check that one out. RYAG says, hello, long-time reader, first-time caller. Are the elves in Unwelcome Journey and Aegis of Merlin the same race of elf? No. They're different. They're different from a different world. The ones from the Aegis of Merlin, I've got a plan to visit the world that they came from in a new series that I hope to start maybe late this year. So, yeah, but they're different. They're a different race altogether. All the elves are true. A real elf in my universe are the soldiers of heaven. but a lot of the elf-like races are descended from, the bloodline of the real elves. So that's how that works. So you might call them an elf, but they're not real elves. Artblade says, currently I'm on book 3 of a sci-fi story called Sardinia Amongst the Immortals. Not familiar with that. Tanya Bell says, I recently read Dig by Alan Dean Foster. Oh, he's a really good writer. Did you ever read his Star Wars story? He wrote, I believe it was Alan Dean Foster that wrote Splinter of a Mind's Eye. I think it was the very first Star Wars novelization. It was very good, or I enjoyed it anyway. Gabriel Battle says, it's okay so far. I'm listening to the audiobooks. I'm still on the first book. Only have the first two. Oh, okay. Robert Mattingly is listening to the Wheel of Time series. I love the Wheel of Time. I've got them all in hardcover. I read them not ages ago, but probably 10 or 15 years ago. RY says, are the elves in Aegis of Merlin like the lesser dragons? Yeah, they're that's a good way to look at it. That's definitely a good way to look at it. The true dragons being a separate thing, just like the true elves are a separate thing. Yeah, that's a good call. Marcus Samo says, read Star Wars title Dark Disciple. I think I have that one. Is that the one about Asajj Ventress? Pretty sure it is. That was I read that. It was very good. MPK says, what is the Netherworld and why can't the ether be used there? It's sort of like a separate dimension, kind of like between heaven and hell, but not really either one. And the ether just doesn't exist there, so it can't be used. It's one of the few places that the ether doesn't exist. So. Tiny Bell says, no, I haven't yet, but it's on my to be read list. I'm backlogged, lol. I hear you on that. I've got a to be read list about 1,000 miles long sometimes, it seems like. Marcus says, like a purgatory. More like a holding cell for souls. It's basically one place. If you can't kill somebody, it's a place you can send their souls that they can't escape from, so they can't do any more harm. Gabriel Battle says, could you imagine the utter chaos if one of the spaceships from the sci-fi series crash landed somewhere they couldn't cover up in the world for the Soulbound series with their heavy religious control? That would be pretty serious chaos in any of the fantasy worlds if a sci-fi ship suddenly crashed there. There was a Dungeons and Dragons thing back in the 90s, I think, where a spaceship crashed and they had random AI-controlled robots running around for the characters to fight. That was actually kind of a cool thing. RY says the Netherrealm is like the Phantom Zone. Yeah, that's probably that's a pretty close analogy. Only at least I haven't haven't decided yet if there's a way for anyone to get out of it, but I'm thinking I'm going to keep it as a place where there's a one-way trip. Once you're there, you're not coming back. So yeah, that's a good call. Definitely like the Phantom Zone. And no worries about the random thought, Gabriel. They're all welcome. gives us something to talk about. I actually had an idea for the sci-fi, the Rogue Star series, of setting it like 1,000 years in the future after Marcus's stories end, and having them the scientists break through into hell using technology, and having demons and magic pour into the world, and ending up having that Earth walled off by the Venkar, so none of the chaos and magic escapes out into the greater galaxy. I thought that might be a fun idea for a future series, but we'll see. So many ideas. My writing ideas are a lot like my reading list. I have a long backlog. Oh, I meant to ask, any of you guys checking out the new season of The Mandalorian? I've heard some pretty mixed reviews. James Hill says the story of Doom 2016. Yeah, sort of. RY says, I've noticed the monotheistic religions in your book are not portrayed in a good light. Does that reflect your opinion on organized religion? Not necessarily. I've studied a little bit of some of the early religions, and not many of them were really nice organizations. They were, back in the day, a lot of the religions were kind of rough to deal with. I try to, especially in the Soulbound saga, I tried to capture some of the the idea of the Inquisition, and some of the lack of tolerance from the old time. But it doesn't necessarily represent what I think. I'm pretty agnostic on religion. It is what it is. If you're into it, that's cool. If you're not, that's cool too. NPK says, "What is you threw an arcane lord in a black hole?" Yeah, I suppose that's similar. RY says, "I like the new season of Mando. It's dumb fun." Cool. I'm waiting until it's done, and I'll get it on Disney Plus and watch the whole thing. Mandalorian on all caps. So I'm guessing Tanya Bell's enjoying it. That's good. RY says, even in the Aegis of Merlin, their Catholic Church is kind of awful. Yeah, it's sort of in the witch hunt stage, I guess. Tanya Bell says, "Oh man, we love The Mandalorian." Okay, cool. I'll be looking forward to seeing it then. Oh, MPK says, if you threw an arcane lord, what if you threw an arcane lord in a black hole? If you did that, they'd be in a lot of trouble, because since they can't die, I imagine it would be quite painful getting crushed down to such a tiny size. Gabriel says, I'm from Northern Ireland, and all the stuff still to this day caused by organized religion gives me a negative opinion on religion. Not any actual religious person, just organized religion. Yeah. It's a weird thing that people will fight about, but I guess some people take it real serious. I've never been especially religious myself, so I just take it for what it is. If that's your jam, cool. If not, okay too. MPK says they could probably outlive the black hole. Yeah, that'd be kind of a cool idea. Imagine some horrible immortal monster trapped in a black hole, and then suddenly the black hole collapses and explodes, releasing it. That might be an interesting idea for a story. William Burroughs says, God proposes, but man screws it up. Ain't that the truth? There ain't much men can't screw up. Was it an X-Men comic book? The title was God Loves, Man Kills, or something to that effect. I wouldn't swear to it, but it seems like that's what the title was. And Tanya Bell says, I've seen John Wick Chapter 4. Anyone else a fan? I enjoy John Wick, but I don't go to the movie theaters, so I'll be waiting until that comes out on one of the streaming channels. Anthony says, what do the angels do all day? I know the demon lords spread their influence. The angels counter the demon lords, basically. The demon lords are running around doing bad things, and the angels are running around trying to keep the damage to a minimum while not overly interfering in the lives of mortals. That's one of the rules of heaven is you don't interfere in the mortal world any more than you have to, because when you do, bad things tend to happen. The demon lords, unfortunately, have no such rule, and they'll just do whatever they want and cause as much chaos and evil as possible, usually playing one of their many games. Since they're trapped in their respective hells, they can't directly affect it, so they're constantly manipulating mortals and sending demons and all kinds of stuff to cause trouble. Arwai says, one thing I love in your books is the yin-yang thing and how it applies to even the angels and demons, like how Null is a demon lord, but he will still work with the angels to fight the void. Yeah, everyone, any sane being will fight the void because the void wants to destroy all of reality, which includes the angels and the demon lords. So nothing like having a mutual enemy to get you on the same page. And the binder is an angel, but kind of messed up in his quest for order. Yeah, he definitely went a little overboard, but he'll probably get in trouble again down the road. That could be a good way to make a new universe, throwing an arcane lord into a black hole. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to have another universe. Since the creator is gone, I can't imagine him making another one. So MPK says, could the demon lords ever consume each other and recreate the destroyer? Kind of ironic to create a destroyer. They could, if they could get to each other. The reason the angels created the hells is to keep them separated, so they couldn't finally reform the destroyer. So yeah, that's the whole point of the of their prisons, is to keep them apart. Anthony says, I thought in the Portal Wars that the general was going to mutiny. The general that became the governor of Strachan? Yeah, I think he might have wanted to, but if he did, he was going to end up having to deal with Otto, and I don't think anybody wants to have to deal with Otto. Gabriel said, sorry, my dislike of organized religion is slipping. Don't worry about it. not a big deal. Anthony says, "Is there a way for them to get out?" The demon lords? No, they're trapped. They're trapped forever in their own private hells. So no, they can't. MPK says, "Why don't the angels just consume each other and recreate the creator then?" Because the angels aren't violent, and consuming each other would be a very violent, evil demon kind of thing to do. If it was absolutely necessary, they could always work together as one to use the power of creation the way they did to create hells to imprison the demon lords. So, RY says, "I'd love to see the Binder mess with Earth in the Aegis of Merlin. He can make that Joan of Arc character you hinted at as Paladin." Yeah, I've actually got a plan for the Binder. Not for the next book, but maybe the one after that to poke his nose in to Conryu's business. So we'll see how that goes. Tanya says, or you could make the creator someone like Chuck from Supernatural, just hanging around watching. Yeah, but he's already been destroyed, so that makes it kind of hard to watch. The Trax is here. Good to see you. You said before that you won't make a book about the Arcane Lords, but what about a book of another group that goes to multiple worlds? I might. And I don't have a plan for a book about the Arcane Lords, but that doesn't mean I might not get an idea and decide to write it about them. I just don't have one planned at the moment. Anthony says, could an angel become corrupted? Yes. If you've read the Aegis of Merlin, you know that a corrupted angel ended up in the Reaper's Hell. I don't want to say too much to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't read it, but yeah, an angel falls first to the mortal realm, and then if they keep getting more and more evil, they end up getting sucked into one of the hells and becoming a demon, basically. MPK says, if the void wants to destroy reality, why don't the demon lords work with the void so they could be free and then recreate the destroyer? Because it wants to destroy them as much as it does reality. They can't. I mean, it would just, the void doesn't really work with those kinds of things. Chuck just writing stories and messing people's lives up in the process. That's one way to look at it, I suppose. Anthony says, will you add a Viking-like culture to your books? Anything's possible. I definitely might. William Burrow says, are you talking about two different books or series? I'm getting confused. Yeah, I was just... the Fallen Angel is mentioned in the Aegis of Merlin. And the Arcane Lords are from the Portal Wars. So those are the two series I was talking about. The Traxxas says, do you have another romance as fleshed out as in the Soulbound saga? Maybe not quite as fleshed out. There's some romance in the Soul Force saga. I think that's reasonably fleshed out if you're interested in that sort of thing. Artblade says, whenever I come across the name Chuck, it makes me think of Chuck Norris, martial artist from the 1970s plus. And one particular joke, Chuck Norris is tough, so he doesn't eat honey. He chews bees. That's a good one. I hadn't heard that one before. My favorite was Chuck Norris got in a fight with the Hulk, and the loser had to paint himself green. Anthony says, could a demon kill a demon lord and then become them? No. The demon lords are the only true demons. All the other demons, the lesser demons, everything is created by the demon lords. The free will demons are created by smushing a bunch of corrupt energy around a mortal soul to give it a personality. But yeah, no, they couldn't kill a demon lord and take their place. They're literally omnipotent. So any demon who stepped out of line would be disintegrated and destroyed in an instant. So Gabriel says, and gets put in a dog toy for Cerberus. Yep. You know who I'm talking about. Arway says, why are the demons in Null's Hell more reasonable than the demons from the other cells? The Reaper is one of the more reasonable of the demon lords. Each of the demon lords sort of represents an ideal. And he is sort of death and assassin, and he most represents discipline rather than numbers, focused in training and becoming the best killer you can. So his personality is represented by his demons. Anthony says, if you could could research them first. So many try to put them in books and TV and just get everything wrong. Milstead says, when are we going to get a new series? Going to be a while since the Soulbound Saga. The books won't even be out in all the stores until June. So I've got the new book. A new book in the Aegis of Merlin series is in the editing process right now. I'll probably do a Kickstarter for that in July. The end of the year, I'm going to get the rights back to the Soul Force Saga, and I'll start putting that up on YouTube once I get the audio files and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be, fortunately, it's going to be a little while before I have another series ready to go for you guys. It's just not a speedy process, unfortunately. As the Traxxas says, do you take care of your health? I try to. I play pickleball for exercise. I lift weights. I try not to eat too many sweets. I'm in generally decent shape. I mean, for 44, I'm not young anymore. Gabriel says, if an archangel could fall, could a demon lord rise up? That's an interesting idea, but the demon lords are trapped in their hells, whether they, they can't get out, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. They're just, they can't get out. MPK says, "Hello, Archangel Null." Yeah, that would be hilarious. Anthony says, "How did I lose the rights?" I didn't lose them. I licensed them to Podium for 7 years to do the audiobooks. About 6 months after I published the ebooks, That was before I had I wasn't really in a situation where I could do the audiobooks myself, and I wanted to get them out there. So since it was only for 7 years, I decided to go ahead and license it to them. But yeah, I started getting all the stuff I licensed out back over the next 3 years. I think I should have everything back. I should have everything back in 3 years, give or take. David Rice says, I'm still on Portal Wars. So good. Can't wait to check out the other, excuse me, the other series once I finish. I got a smiley face from Art Blade, which I'm not sure. Oh, maybe that was for the Chuck Norris thing. Mutt says, I can't wait. I watched every video and read everything I could get my hands on. You really know how to captivate and hold your audience. Well, I appreciate that. But you know, it's just it's just a process, I got to work through it. Zatraxa says, that's good to hear, considering how most other writers live like sedentary lifestyles is dangerous. So keep it up so we can enjoy your books for many years in the future. Yeah, definitely. This can be a very sitting around type of business, but I do my best to make sure I get some exercise and, try and keep my weight under control and that sort of thing. Anthony says, what is a loose idea for your next series? I'm working on a spin-off trilogy from the Portal War saga. It'll be set 10 years after the Chamber of Eternity in Coltsland. And it deals with this group of wizards who's trying to resurrect one of Almetzer's apprentices so that they can help him take over the kingdom, one of the kingdoms in Coltsland. So that's what it's about. I'm about 20-ish thousand words from finishing the third book. And then I got to get covers and editing and get the audiobooks recorded. The plan was for it to be my big launch for next winter. So we'll see how that works out. Artblade says, my chat message was converted into a smiley. It should have been, that would be cool. Demon Lords get promoted to Archangels and Archangels demoted to Demon Lords. Yeah, I don't think I'll do that, but it is kind of a good idea. RY says, I got into your stuff through Hoopla. It's a great app if your local library has it. Oh, cool. I know some of the books are available on it, although I'm not sure if all of them are. MPK says, I license, aside from the Soulbound Saga, not the Soulbound Saga, the Soul Force Saga. I licensed out the Soul Force Saga, the Aegis of Merlin, and the Dragonspire Chronicles. Those are the 3 series I had licensed the audiobooks out. Zatraxa says, when someone asks you which book defined this generation of fantasy books, what would you say? The Wheel of Time, probably. For me, anyway. Rest 12 says, I'm so excited for this, the new series. Cool. Mutt says, honestly, some of these books would make amazing movies. I agree, but that's definitely outside of my ability to do. Anthony says, how do the Immortality engine work, or is that a secret? How does the Immortality engine work, or is that a secret? That's a secret. The only people who know how it works are dead, so figuring it out is going to be an interesting thing. RY says, I'd love to see A paradise world where the guardian dragon is mostly light. That could be interesting. Not sure how exciting it would be though, because you kind of need something dark for it to fight. Gabriel says traditionally in Abrahamic religions, death is an angel. Azrael, I think. That's interesting. Zatractor says, what would you consider your magnum opus so far, or do you still have to make it? I don't know. I know my most popular is The Hidden Tower and the Portal War Saga, so I guess I'll say that. I don't think magnum opus is kind of a, I don't know, overstatement. I'm just a modern day pulp writer. None of my stuff is anything I would say qualifies for a magnum opus, but that's just my opinion. Anthony ever said Dragon What Chronicles? Dragonspire Chronicles. It's a 6-book series, fantasy series. I had a lot of fun. I think it might be my personal favorite series that I've written. I had a lot of fun with that. If you want to check it out, it should be available on Audible or actually, I think it might just be available on Audible. I'm not sure. Gabriel says, not that means anything on the death of your universe. Yeah, no. The Reaper is less is the sort of death he is like assassins and murder more than the concept of death, I guess, would be a more accurate description of him. Canid Rageman says, hey James, I really like your magic systems. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What do you call it again? The ether, you mean? That's the source of all magic in my universe. Ian Creech, hello. Finally getting on. I was helping with an Easter egg hunt. Hope everything is doing well. Yeah, everyone is doing well. Yeah, all good here, Ian. Glad you could make it, even if it is for only 10 minutes. Hopefully your Easter egg hunt went well. When is Easter anyway? Next Sunday, right? Is Easter? MPK says, why do you think there is such a fascination with fantasy, but less so with science fiction? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the idea that science fiction is sort of supposed to be based on what's possible, whereas fantasy is basically anything you can think of. So, but I really don't know. I guess I would say because fantasy sells better at this point is as much a reason as anything. Let's see. Mutt says, nobody ever lets the bad guys win. I love how you make your heroes with a touch of villain. Yeah. And I think everybody, even the best person, has a touch of villain in them. I mean, it's just human nature, I guess. Gabriel says, when he says it's a secret, he means I haven't figured that out yet. You're not wrong. I tend not to figure stuff out until I need it for a story. So when I'm ready to explore that aspect of the story, that's when I'll figure it out. RY says, I love that your novels are pulp. One thing I hate with a lot of other fantasy authors nowadays is how they're all trying to be the next Martin or Tolkien. Yeah. It's cool, I guess, if that's the way you want to go, but there's really never going to be another George R. R. Martin or Tolkien. They're both unique, I think, in fantasy. Trying to be like them is really asking for trouble. I figure best thing I can do is my own thing, and hopefully I'll find people like all of you guys that like it. At least that's my goal. I write, first and foremost, I write to entertain myself. I've been very lucky in that a lot of other people have enjoyed what I enjoy. So that's my writing philosophy in a nutshell, I guess. Anthony says, "Are you going to pull a Kane the Conqueror and have guy going around conquering worlds?" That's not anything I have planned at the moment, but you never know. We'll see. Chippewan says, "What about Brandon Sanderson?" I like some of his stuff, and some of it I'm not so crazy about. RY says, "Even Raymond Feast changed his style to be more like Martin." Yeah, a little bit. I still feel like Raymond Feast's books are his own thing, even if he has, changed his style a little bit. Gabriel says, "Yeah, you're also down to earth. You talk to us like friends, not fans, and not aloofness." Well, I try to, I try and talk to everybody like I would want to be talked to. You guys are all pretty cool. Yeah, always have something interesting to say, so I'm happy to talk to you and think of you as internet friends at the very least. So, that's my goal for these, for the Discord and this live stream is to, hang out. I think it was Big Pete that said the live streams were like going to a tavern or a pub at the end of the day and talking with your friends, and that's very much the feeling I'm going for in all my interactions with anybody. I don't want anyone to feel like it's awkward or whatever. Chippewan says, "Sorry for the late entrance. I had to work today." Oh, not a problem. I'm glad you could make it. Better late than never, as the saying goes. So, very cool. Thanks for stopping. Kanan says, "Would you consider your magic system hard or soft?" Soft. There are no, chiseled in stone rules. I feel like you have to follow. I think a soft magic system gives you more flexibility as a writer. Although I could definitely see with the ether being so flexible as a power source that I could very easily write a fantasy system, a fantasy world where a hard magic system has evolved. So that's definitely something I could see myself doing in the future. But I consider my magic systems in most of the worlds a soft magic system for the most part. Kanan says, "By the way, is it good morning or good afternoon?" Where I am, it's good afternoon and getting on towards good evening. So, Mutt says, "You just keep being you, bro." Yeah, that's the plan. Anthony says, "Have you thought of a successful pirate character?" I have an idea for a series, and I say this a lot because I have a lot of ideas. But I have an idea for a series that would revolve around pirates, sort of One Piece meets Pirates of Dark Water. No idea when I'll get to it, but I do have an idea for a pirate series for sure. Artblade says, "James, whatever you call it, like pulp, is just what I enjoy the most. I did read sophisticated literature, which can be cool, but these days I'm much more into pulp, and you're one of the best." Well, I appreciate that. Pulp authors, I think, were some of the best in any age. And their output was just amazing. How many books some of those guys wrote, especially when you consider the pulp era, of the 20s and 30s, they were writing novels upon novels on mechanical typewriters, for goodness sakes. RY says, How do the spirits fit in if the angels are from the creator and demons from the destroyer and the dragon's a mix? Um, the spirits are elemental. Um, so when the creator made the universe, the leftover elemental material became the earth, air, water, and fire realms, and that's where those spirits live. So they were basically leftovers. So Anthony said, I would say you have a medium system because there are rules. They just change depending on the world. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Medium system. Not too hard, not too soft, just right. And then he says, Pirates of Dark Water, question mark. Yeah, that was when I was a kid in the 90s, early 90s, I think. That was my favorite cartoon of all time. I loved Pirates of Dark Water. I'm not sure where you would even find it now, but if you can and you like action-packed cartoons, that's an excellent one to check out. And yes, I see Artblade reminding me it's time to wrap up the stream, for sure. I got one more question here, and then I will call it good. MPK says, now that I think about it, the lecture Connery was getting about the creation of existence that he found was so boring was something that Otto or Ahmet Sir would have literally killed for. That's kind of funny. Yeah, Connery was not into that kind of lecturing. So yeah, he was not into his lesson. So all right, guys. As always, it was a pleasure chatting with you. RY says Pirates is on Tubi. I'm not sure what that is, but very cool if anyone wants to check it out. So I will hopefully see you guys next Sunday. It's great chatting with you, and see you later.